Ladies and mostly gentlemen, welcome to another beautiful morning here in Shattrath with, of course, I'm here as usual with my boy Kexman, and today we're joined by the one and only Jay the Bard. How's it going, Jay?
It's going good. Haven't slept, but it's going good.
Classic.
Of course.
He's getting in that real Burning Crusade sort of flow, just not sleeping, consistently playing. It's the way that Burning Crusade has been set up for everybody, realistically. I remember sleepless nights on Burning Crusade, grinding, getting flasks and food and stuff ready for raiding. So it's, starting early, but at least you're here and you're able to have a little bit of breakfast in Shattrath.
Yeah, what's the time, Jay? Is it like 4 a.m?
It's about to be 3:30.
Nice. Love that. It's 11:30 here. I had a beautiful fry up, a nice sleep. Oh god, it was so good. Now I've got an amazing cup of tea. Now, as you might not know, Jay, this is a British podcast, so unfortunately you have to do a British accent the entire time.
Hi everybody, my name is Dan. Welcome to my stream. I like to do content, and content I make about 30 videos a week about World of Warcraft, and that's about it. Also, I hit level 60 before Adam Schwaggens did.
I think everyone did. Yeah, I think everyone did.
My mother did.
Yeah.
She didn't even play the game.
But of course, I'll be remiss to not welcome our fourth guest. Of course, the chat. Welcome, chat. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing fantastic today on this beautiful Friday. It's Friday then, and Saturday, Sunday, what? So anyway, let's get in with the first topic of the day, Jay. How has Classic WoW been for you? Did you enjoy it?
Oh man, it's addicting. It was addicting at launch. It still is. It's really funny going into it. Again, right when I first launched my Classic, because like when I first played in vanilla, this was my first MMO. I had no knowledge of how to play an MMO, so like I was the dumb kid that was like, I'm gonna play a warrior, and I'm gonna roll neat on everything that looks cool. So I was the kid going into Wailing Caverns, and when I saw the leather pieces for the Fang, the Jewels of the Fang, drop, I would roll neat on them because I thought the pants looked cool because they were the green and purple pants.
You're like a futurist, right? Because then you didn't know that transmog was coming, but
yeah, exactly. I knew before it was going to happen, man.
And ironically, the way that itemization went in Classic, it probably was an upgrade for you.
To be honest, I think a lot of warriors low level will probably end up wearing like Defias leather and Fang gear as well. So yeah, I mean, you were ahead of the curve back then, Jay. Like you knew what was up.
Little did I know that I was only preparing myself when I actually need those devil sword legs and gloves.
So what? So you got how many 60s do you have?
I have 2 level 60s, both warriors. One on Horde, one on Alliance.
Nice.
And I'm currently leveling up a rogue right now. And I want to get the rogue up to 60, and then I want to level up a mage, of course, and then a warlock.
Jeez.
So as someone who has leveled a warrior, I have 160 on Classic. It's a Horde warrior. My first question to you is, did you do both of them solo? Like it was just you questing, were both of them solo, leveling up to 60?
So the Alliance character was solo for a time being, but the Alliance character ended up being the second character. So I started off on Horde because a lot of my buddies and I were like, oh cool, they're all going to come on Classic, we're all going to level together. So we leveled together about until the point where we were no longer needing to like level in using going to Scarlet Monastery. And that's when they decided to like die out. And then I had one friend that was leveling a mage, and he was doing the freaking, hey, can you invite me to your lair?
Asmon lair.
Yeah, the Asmon lair. No, well, yeah, he kept doing that. So he got ahead, and then he quit after he hit 60. He didn't even do a single raid. So I was left alone. So the rest of that period from level, it's like level 27, I think, all the way up to I'd level up my own on my warrior, and it's a pain. It's a pain. If you level up a warrior in Classic WoW and you're not getting boosted, it is literally the equivalency of being a masochist.
So yeah, I have on the EU servers. So I played EU and then I moved to NA. A 58 warrior, never finished it. Never finished it. Never used any.
Oh.
I think back, like, I say back then. I mean, it was a launcher classic, but yeah, I never finished leveling it. It's stuck in the Eastern Plaguelands. I'm pretty sure I've run out of quests. Like, there is nothing. Like, and I think I quit because, well, quit EU because I think Phase 2 came out, right? And it was World PvP. It was a PvP server because I'm an idiot. And yeah, and I just couldn't level at the time. Obviously, I think if I went back now, like, I could probably finish it up. But yeah, Warrior it's tough. You buy a lot of food and you die a lot. And because the thing is, I went from Warrior and then I was like, oh, I'm going to try a Priest. And it was like night and day. I was like, this is the best. I can heal. I can. Yeah. Oh man, this is just glorious.
I'll never forget watching a friend of mine, good friend of mine, roll a mage. And at this point, I was already 60. I was already like through AQ40 and all that sort of stuff. And I will never forget watching him AoE farm in Arathi Highlands. Oh, and as a warrior, if you have never seen a mage AoE farm in Arathi Highlands, it is enough to make you cry. Because your experience as a warrior is, oh, I've pulled 2 mobs. Well, it looks like I'm corpse running. And that is just, unless you get extremely lucky, that is effectively the scenario you are stuck with.
Also, if you have retaliation up.
Well, yeah, if you have retaliation up, you're fine, but then you got to wait 30 minutes to do it again.
Exactly.
But then you look at mages, and mages like, I'm just going to pull 6 or 7 of them at one time. They're not going to be able to touch me, and I'll keep repeating this. And it's infuriating because you're sat there going, wow, this is just ridiculous. Why have I done this to myself?
Yeah.
On top of... Oh, good.
I mean, I was saying, like, I'm leveling a hunter now at the moment on Classic, and Feign Death is the greatest ability ever created in World of Warcraft. Oh my god. Because the hunter's pretty good in general, right? They can kill like quite a lot of stuff, and they're pretty slappy. But then on top of that, like once the pet dies or whatever, you can just feign death, and I don't know. You just I haven't died since being level 30. I'm pretty sure.
And don't forget, everything's a hunter weapon.
It's true. It's true.
Very, very true. Very true. It carries on. It's not just a classic thing as well. I cannot count the amount of times during Nathria where we have wiped, and I will just see one hunter just pop up. Like on the raid frames, the only character alive is always a hunter, and it is so infuriating. Going, well, everyone's dead, but there's one hunter that's managed to escape it. And I mean, if you're playing hunter, it's going to get even better come TBC because you say they slap in classic. Yeah. Oh, wait until. Although the funny thing is, ironically, I think from at least until you get to sort of like level 17, you start stepping into heroics. Your best in slot the entire time is tier 1. Mm-hmm. There's like it is so good for hunters, and it is quite comical because another friend of mine who has a hunter is kind of sat there going, yeah, I'm looking forward to TBC. It's going to be great. I'm not going to loot anything because he has full tier 1. Why would he? Yeah.
So what's so good about tier 1? Has it got like set bonuses?
Yeah, the set bonuses are just incredibly powerful.
Right.
There's, it even to the point where, they're wearing it in Nax. There's no reason to get anything else because the set bonuses in tier 1 completely outweigh everything you get from anything else, realistically. I mean, obviously, trinkets and weapons and
we
such
talking
are slightly
tier 1
different.
like Molten Core?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What?
That, like, yeah. Oh, yeah. It is that powerful for hunters. There's some, and I don't know exactly what it is, and I'm sure I could speak to my hunter friend and get some more information for next week. But the premise is that the set bonuses you get from tier 1 are so powerful that the amount of stats you gain from tier 2 and tier 3 and other pieces of gear is completely negligible.
Wow.
There's no point in having it. And that is the same going through Burning Crusade. The set bonuses are that powerful, and yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
I guess
there's also some. I was gonna say there's also some gear. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was gonna say there's also some gear from Blackwing's Lair. I believe it's for there's like a best in slot that'll last you until like you're level 70 for healers. I think.
Yes, there's a couple of those. I think Drakefang Talisman is another one that drops from Blackwing Lair.
That's the one.
Very, very good for melee DPS. That will last you until 70.
Still haven't got it yet.
No, it's a rarer drop. It's a rarer drop, but there's a couple of items that will last you until 70. I'm fairly certain a couple of the items I have will probably last me until 70. There's some, best in slot items that I have now that will, and that kind of adds up to it's going to be, TBC when it comes out. It's going to be a completely different experience for me, especially leveling, because back when I was playing vanilla going into Burning Crusade when it originally came out, I didn't have a clue. I had no idea what my character was doing, what was realistically good for my character. And I was going into Burning Crusade with blues and greens, and I don't think I even had an epic going into Burning Crusade. Whereas this time round, I'm going in pretty much, at least half of my stuff is BIS. So that experience is going to be completely different for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because the boosted characters, the 58s that people are going to buy, obviously, are kind of weak. But you do replace the gear pretty quickly once you get into Outland. But I guess switching gears into talking about level 70, they obviously did raid testing, since the last time we did this. I did it. I did Karazhan on a hunter and realized it was literally one button, and I was a bit upset about that. But I was top DPS, so what can you say? So it was good, but because the level 70 pre-mates, they have Dungeon Set 3, right, for the most part. And I was kind of surprised that Karazhan felt like UBRS. Like, it did not feel like a raid, did not feel like that. It just, 10 people, we just blitzed it, right? And no comms, no nothing, right? It was literally just a random, ragtag bunch of idiots. And we did pretty well. I mean, I think Curator had some issues because I had to bail on the raid quite early. So I think we did Moros, Midnight, Maiden, I think it's called, and then I bailed just before the show thing, and I mean it was pretty easy and
pretty brain dead.
Yeah, I didn't do Mag and Gruul, and I watched Asmund do it, and Mag looked really hard. Like, I don't, there was definitely some difficulty there, and Gruul. I think that first boss is an interesting one because obviously you have to get the mage tank and everything like that. I think it's all about the pull. If you get a good pull on that boss, then you're going to be fine. But it's an extremely hard pull because of just, it's just fucking chaos,
Yeah, I think Karazhan is definitely going to feel, as you mentioned, like UBRS. It's not going to have that same... I don't think it will have that same effect on people as it did previously, unless, of course, there are people that never experienced Karazhan to that level. I think looking at Classic versus what we have now, there's a fair case to say pretty much every single person that originally played Classic that is now playing Classic has improved as a player. Like, the skill level is so much higher across the board. So stuff like Karazhan, I'm not surprised if people are going through it. We know it's going to be pre-nerf numbers, like the original numbers for damage and health and everything, so that's fine. But, as you mentioned, Dungeon Tier 3, it's pretty solid, so, a lot of people are going to go through there. There was, obviously, the bug with the Curator. He was summoning arcane orbs at a very, very odd rate, which was a bit weird. I think
a lot of people were suffering, too. It was Curator.
Yeah, that was the cutoff point, and I think that was because of a bug, not so much because of the difficulty of it. Gruul is probably what I would call the entry level raid, because you've got two very sort of you've got one control fight and then DPS check fight, which is what you would expect. Magtheridon is a whole different kettle of fish. Like, you're expected to go to Magtheridon after doing a fair few clears of Gruul, getting some gear from Gruul, getting gear from Karazhan, and it is. I think that's the one thing that people will remember being a lot more difficult than what they imagined it being.
Mm-hmm.
Magtheridon, he was a chunky boy back in the day.
You been on the beta much, Jay?
I did Karazhan, and I stopped at Curator because I got tired of the bug, and I actually raged, and I was like, which was the experience I had in BC. So
it was nostalgic.
No, dude, I can tell you right now. So I was just like, I'm gonna go do this because I found a group. I go on there on the warrior, and I didn't get anything drop for me because I have crappy luck every fucking time, right? So we get the curator, and all like I just like at the top of my lungs, like I was just like, yeah, fuck, and like everyone in the household was like, "Did you get like stabbed or something?" I'm like, "No, no,
Worse.
Stabbed.
yeah." But I've been working a lot more on my characters for Classic. Like I said, I'm trying to get my rogue ready because I want to do PvP. I'm looking forward to doing a lot of PvP in TBC Classic, of course, because I have a lot of memories from from the days. And actually, funny story, and this is something that me and my friend Josh have talked about before. So some people may not know this, some people don't know this, but if you're familiar with a certain game called Overwatch, the voice actor for Roadhog. He's also a voice actor for a couple of the characters in World of Warcraft, Maxwell Tyrosis, Ursoc. He's a good friend of mine. And what happened was we were talking about when Classic came out, he was talking about his old server, I was talking about my old server, and it turns out we were on the same server, which is Bone Chewer. Now, I used to, so when TBC came out, I was like a hardcore like horde main, so I was like, oh cool, I can try out like a paladin finally. I did not touch paladin on alliance. I just wanted to play horde. That's all I care about because that's what I grew up with, is playing Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2. I didn't care about the alliance story as much. I cared, or human story, I cared more about the horde. So I had a blood elf paladin, and I would just do battlegrounds and more PvP. And one of the guys, I used to fight this priest all the time. I would see this priest all the time and fight him. And he'd kill me, I kill him. And my paladin's name was Super Pally. And it's so Josh was mentioning that he had a rival named Super Pally. And when he said he was on Bone Chewer server, it clicked. And I'm like, what?
Small world.
Yeah. So we I showed him my original character, showed him some screenshots. We were like, holy crap, we have been rivals back in vanilla and TBC.
That's
it's
awesome.
really it's crazy. Yeah.
Are you looking to bring in the rivalry back for TBC Classic?
Oh no, with the rivalry's back because he got mad at me because step away from like the classic, like for Shadowlands, I went horde with my friends, and he DMs me in Battle.net. He's like, traitor.
That's exactly what he sounds like as well.
No, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's like traitor. And then I give him shit because he hasn't leveled up his character in Classic. He does not have a level 16 Classic yet.
Oh, no.
Adam hit level 60 before this guy did.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Adam actually quit Classic when he hit 60. He's actually gone back to retail now.
What?
Yeah, he's playing retail again. Yeah, he was in Torghast in Mythic Plus. He was like, you know what? Don't need gear. Anyway, I digress.
I bet he hasn't even been attuned yet.
There's actually been some interesting stuff in regards to like Classic this week, right? So Classic had 1.13.7 launch. They also announced that the cutoff for transferring realms, right, is April 30th. So it looks like they're gearing up to do the snapshot of the characters for Classic, so you can do your clone or whatever like that. I wonder, like, how much I don't know, like, warning they're going to give us for the snapshot, if they're actually going to tell us when it happens. Because I guess if they told us, then people could be like, right, I'm going to get all these really nice things in my bag, take the snapshot, and then I'm just going to sell it all.
Yep.
Exactly.
I mean, it's they've mentioned that is the cutoff, and I would expect them to say, right, okay, this is the date the snapshot's going to be done. Anything after this will not count. I mean, the problem you've then got is the moment you turn around and say that is people will stop playing because they'll kind of turn around and they'll go, well, snapshot's been done. There's no point me gaining anything else on my character. So I would expect there would be an idea of sort of like the pre-patch coming out at some point before then. And I would, looking at a lot of the testing that they're doing now, a lot of it is focused around PvP raid environments. Mm-hmm. There's still a couple of issues out there, which, again, I think because it is kind of, if I remember correctly, it's almost piggybacking off the current retail client. So there's going to be a couple of issues and a couple of potential sort of like coding things that have gone a bit wrong there. So once they've got those ironed out, I think TBC will not be far behind it. The pre-patch, however, slightly different. I could see that coming in. I can see that coming in pretty soon after they've done the snapshot.
Yeah, it's interesting with pre-patch because the one thing that's kind of left for pre-patch and for TBC is the pre-made group finder. So once that's in, essentially pre-patch is, pre-patch is going to be, it's going to be like pre-made group finder, Draenei, Blood Elves, and then just, just all the talents and class changes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious why they haven't brought out the pre-made group finder yet, because I know they said they're making changes to it, and I think most people are in agreement that we're happy to have it the same as basically the retail one in regards to how you do Mythic Plus. Obviously not the automated dungeon teleporting and all that kind of jazz stuff. More in regards to, you put yourself out there, I want to be a tank for, ramparts or something, right? Like pretty simple stuff, right? Just a nice, easy way to kind of put yourself out there for dungeons. And I think I'm really looking forward to it, honestly. I'm so curious what is taking them so long and all of that. I wonder if it will become such a technical issue where they'll be like, you know what? We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. So, I don't know.
I have a sneaking suspicion part of it is tying in with the... And they did it. They did it previously, and I don't know whether there was a major. They have access to a lot of data we do not have access to. But the way that the timeline is going for Burning Crusade, it's almost matching up with the way the timeline for 9.1 is coming along, and I don't think they want them to clash. I think they want TBC and 9.1 to be very, very separate.
I agree with that. I think they wanted to because. The whole thing, because from like the business point of view, right? You want to make sure you have that content to fill in those gaps, right? Obviously, this is the biggest gap we've ever seen in terms of dry content, right? But like, I can't see them not doing that, and I think I don't know if it's been confirmed because it's been a bit since I've looked into that. But did they say like, are they going to try to like allow people in Classic to like have like in the pre-patch be able to level? I know they didn't do that before, but like level up a Blood Elf and a Draenei.
So that's like one of the biggest things of the pre-patch is that they're activating Draenei and Blood Elf for people to level.
So that is confirmed. That's confirmed.
They confirmed that BlizzCon Online, yeah.
So that's probably what they're going to do. They're going to try to plan something around that. So if they do launch a TBC collectors like bundle thing with the mount, right? It's like, well, hey, if you haven't hit level 60 yet, you don't got that epic mount. Look at this. Buy this, and you can do that in the pre-patch.
Yeah.
You'll have your free epic, well, not free, but you'll have your epic mount during pre-patch.
I think the collector's bundle, whatever, this kind of mysterious thing, will probably include a boost, right? Surely.
You'd imagine so. It goes in line with pretty much everything they've done previously in these bundles and the different releases of games. So it would surprise me if it didn't.
Yeah. I have such a mixed feeling on the whole thing, right? Because we know, like, obviously nothing's confirmed, right? Obviously nothing's confirmed. At the moment, it's just data mined mounts and stuff like that. And they're not going to make an entire mount in Burning Crusade, style for literally nothing, right? That mount will be in the game in some form. Now, the problem is, in classic Burning Crusade, people don't have a ton of mounts, So it's going to get to a point where if that is a collector's edition mount or whatever, you're going to be in Shattrath or Stormwind or wherever, Ulgrimmar, and it's going to be everyone on those mounts. In Classic, my priest has one mount. And I think in going into Burning Crusade, I'm probably going to have two mounts. I'll probably have the flying mount, but I might, maybe I'll do Netherwing as well. But like, that's the thing. Like, it's not about mount collecting. I think, with recent versions of WoW, adding a mount to a collector's edition is absolutely fine because you have 300 of them, But in TBC Classic, you have two, and if one of those is super special and super cool looking, you're gonna ride that, and everyone's gonna ride it if they buy it. That's kind of my issue. I don't know what it was like back when they first added the first Storm mount, like the Sparkle Pony thing. Like, I wonder. I'm trying to remember if everyone was riding it.
Celestial Sea came, I think it was like shortly after like Wrath, because it was using the model from Invincible, right?
It was It was just I think it was just before Cataclysm came out. And as you mentioned, it was using the Invincible model. But I can remember. I don't remember a lot of people being on it. I remember, seeing it around.
Anybody. I never saw anyone use it. I never saw anyone use it until at least Mr. Pandaria.
I think we could probably put some. I think we could probably put some of the quote unquote blame on Total Biscuit for that for his campaign to stop people riding the damn horse.
He was before his time, man. I mean, he wasn't telling people to spit on it, but he was, he was telling people not to buy it.
Yeah,
but to go with what you just said though before, Dan, which is like, classic WoW, it wasn't about mount collecting. They're gonna. I mean, if this mount is a mount that's going to be obviously in Burning Crusade, the way to purchase, like, hey, get a new mount for get your mount in Burning Crusade because you have an epic mount, right? There's no way it's not going to be an epic mount, and then they're going to be like, also, you'll have this mount take a slot here in retail. It's going to work for both. There's no way they're going to put it in one and not the other.
I mean, like, because of the way that the games are created, because Burning Crusade Classic's based off of the infrastructure of Shadowlands, that mount could easily very easily cross over. Funnily enough, I think in 9.1 they're updating the Warp Stalker model for no apparent reason.
Yes.
So that's definitely kind of curious. I think it'd be kind of cool to have a bit of crossover in regards to, like, if they were to do it in this theoretical time, it's fine just to have, like, the mount in both. Like, that's whatever, right? But I don't know. I'm so curious about it, really, what they're going to do. And it's so strange that they haven't announced any dates while they're still, while they've put out this April 30th thing. They've said about, they've pushed 1.13.7, which is the final patch of Classic. And then they've just, like, not said anything. May 18th was the date in mind date that was in the global strings DB2, but I mean, that could just be a random placeholder date. I mean, it seems reasonable, May 18th, like, as a pre-patch, but how long does a pre-patch go? They increased leveling from 20 to 60 in the pre-patch, or in Burning Crusade. That's going to be in there. So do they do a month? Will it take people a month to get to 60 on a Draenei or Blood Elf? 2 months?
I don't think it will take. They severely reduced the amount of XP, if I remember rightly.
I think it's like 20 to 30%, yeah, and increase the amount that you get from quests. So
yeah,
I was kind of tempted to do a whole run, from 1 to 60 on the Burning Crusade Classic Beta, but then I remembered I value my time a little bit more. But I think at the end of the day, like, that stuff does still need testing, because there is changes. They made changes to Azeroth, Eastern Kingdoms Kalimdor in Burning Crusade. Not major changes. I mean, there was a few extra little quest hubs, I think, in Duskwall and Marsh. I added some, Swamp of Sorrows, a couple of others. I mean, could be worth doing, but it's still a long time, like, to level, especially on a beta where you're never going to see that character again.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the timeline here, it's going to be tough for them. As was mentioned previously, I don't think they want to release Burning Crusade Classic and 9.1 at the same time. The way the timelines are going, if that is the case, something is potentially going to cause some issues. I mean, I say they don't want to release 9.1 and TBC at the same time. It actually might be a good, thinking about it, looking at 9.1 and what is available in 9.1. They've gone on record as saying they don't want to add any more systems, which makes sense. They've done it previously where in 0.1, 0.2 patches, they've added a new system and it's kind of buggered everything up. This one they've stuck and they've just said, we're going to stick with the same systems. We're just going to add a little couple of things to them. We've seen that there's Torghast stuff where you could potentially change, you can have some more difficulty. You can have some buffs. They've obviously got Korthia. There's the new raid. But outside of that, there's, you've got your campaign and stuff, but there's nothing brand new to jump into, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And looking at the time frame that we've had, there is no doubt that on a time versus content scale, this is the longest, this is the longest time we've gone. So, and we're having the same amount of content that we would normally have in a 0.1 patch, which to me feels, it's not going to match up to some of the previous patches that we've had before.
Yep.
So there's a case to be made. Why not release Burning Crusade at around about the same sort of time? Because you'll have people playing 9.1. They might not necessarily have as much content as they would normally have versus the amount of time it's been since the previous patch. So why not kind of try and push people towards playing Burning Crusade, people that are there for playing Burning Crusade? Oh, hey, 9.1 is out. Come and see what that is all about as well. You've done your dailies in 9.1. Guess what? Burning Crusade is also available for you to level in as well. So I think there's a lot more crossover there than they realize, and there's also a case to be made for them releasing at the same time, as well as a case to be made for them releasing slightly separately.
So you said there was like some type of speculation there for a possible release in May for the pre-patch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would make sense if we've got the 30th of April as a snapshot.
I think that if anything, I don't think they should release it around the same time as 9.1. I think they should, if they do release the pre-patch, they should do it, roughly in May if things are looking good in that time. And here's one of the big reasons why, because we know we've seen in the past that they do like to tend to release things against like rival MMOs, and one of the things that's happening in May is Final Fantasy is having their big event, their FanFest thing, all digital, and they're announcing the next class. Now, there's a lot of people calling them WoW refugees. A lot of the casuals are going over to Final Fantasy because there's this drought and they have nothing else to do, because a lot of the stuff in they either if they've played Classic and they've done everything they can in Classic and they don't have the desire to level up another character from 1 to 60, or they've done well they can on their character for retail. It's like, what else can they do? We don't have stuff like archaeology anymore that's being updated to go do stuff in the world. And it doesn't feel like there's much you can do in your free time other than just go farming gold content, which I do it. I go for transmogs, I go for mounts, whatever. But releasing a pre-patch in May would draw people back in, and then you'd have people who are now again leveling up their blood elves and Draenei, and basically giving a time frame and period for people to start doing that, to enjoy that until the next patch comes. And now the idea behind that would be is like, okay, maybe you're not a classic player, and maybe you're just kind of bored with retail. Well, look, now there's blood elves, because some people will. So there are some people who are like, I don't want to play classic because I can't play blood elves, or I can't be a paladin on the horde, I can't be a shaman on the alliance. So now they have it. I think that would probably be in their best interest to do that. And then when 9.1 comes out, you still have kept and maintained subs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
as opposed to the drop.
That does make sense. In a perfect world, from like looking at it, I would say we would, in a perfect world, you'd have probably pre-patch for TBC second week of May, second week, sort of tail end second week, potentially third week of May.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have 9.1 at this point, looking at the timescale, looking at the raid testing, releasing.
Let's say mid-July.
Last week of June going into July. And then I would probably say, if they wanted to do it in a very, like, oh, this makes sense, release TBC almost 2 years to the day that Classic was released. It might be that's a really long time for a pre-patch, but then you're kind of, as you mentioned, Jay, you're almost staggering it so that you're getting that constant, like, oh, hey, pre-patches up. Oh, you finished leveling your character? Well, 9.1 is here. Oh, hey, 9.1's finished. TBC's here. And I think that gives enough time as well for people to experience the content of 9.1, for a race to world first to happen, and then for people to move on potentially, oh, hey, Burning Crusade's here. Look, we've got an entire expansion to play with for the next however long until the next patch comes out.
So on top of that too, the thing that you can also have with that is, because even on a lot of servers in Classic, so I don't know what it's like on Peggle, because I know that's where you play, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
But like on Fairlina, so I'm in my guild, they're just doing Nax, and basically every other guild that we see, I mean, you can still find raids, right? But most raids are just GKDP.
GDKP.
Yeah, GDKP. It's just GDKP. But you would bring a lot of life back into the Classic servers also, because now people are going to be leveling up, their blood elves, their Draenei, and having fun with that. And also, it's like it gives you a reason to go back, and those guilds go back into those old raids, because like, hey guys, we want to gear up our other tunes. Of course, you're gonna have like a raid full of like blood elves and Draenei now. But I'm saying it gives people a reason to go and do those old raids with their guild, as opposed to just doing the runs like that, right? So you're bringing life back into the servers for people who are like, I log in my one character, do my raid run, and that's it. So I think that's another thing, and it gives people, and time to like experiment as well. Like it's like because they didn't have this before, right? They didn't do this with the original PC launch, if I recall.
No,
You weren't able to do like play a blood elf and really kind of enjoy the content of being a blood elf or a Draenei in Naxxramas, because you were just going into level and go into trying to get your gear up for
there's
that.
also level 60 arena in pre-patch.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting to see what meta comes out of that. I'm sure OTK and Tips are already burning to start a little tournament about it.
They're on it. They are on it. I mean, we're probably coming towards the end, I'd imagine, time wise. Yeah. But one final question for you, Jay, as the music man of WoW, shall we say, the Bard. How important is TBC from a music perspective for World of Warcraft? Because obviously Classic had some, there was some good music there, but the music, like I'm pretty sure everyone can remember, we heard the music that goes along with the intro cinematic that everybody can hear in their heads. And there were some fantastic pieces in Burning Crusade. So how important was it kind of moving forward with Warcraft for Burning Crusade from a music standpoint?
I mean, going even beyond the game, it was very important. I mean, you have a lot of those atmospheres in the game, and like the Black Temple music, Silver Moon specifically is probably one of the most iconic ones, because when you first enter Silver Moon, you have that do 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 do. You have that really built up and synth sound, so it kind of gives you that sense of mystery and like the regalness of like the lore of the elves, right? But like aside from just like the in-game music being very important, TBC was the era of when all those like parodies came out with Nim. Think of Nim.
Mm-hmm.
All those things came out during that was his rise, and that's not only that, but this was the when we started seeing ETC.
They're actually in Silver Moon, aren't they? So
they are.
Yeah, they're in Silver Moon. This is when we heard Power of the Horde. This is when they get Rogues Do It From Behind. All those songs came out. But like the music of TBC, I think holds a lot of places in people's heart, because a lot of people don't maybe know this because maybe either they don't care or it's not something you just kind of pick up. But in TBC is when they started adding in tavern music into World of Warcraft. Because if you go into any tavern in Classic, everything was the same thing. It was the same thing over and over again. That's all it was in every tavern. And this one, they gave uniqueness to the taverns in Azeroth to kind of have their more unique themes, which is really cool. And then that going also into Wrath. But it's very important, and I have a lot of plans. We're going to be releasing some Burning Crusade synthwave tunes very soon.
Oh, looking forward to that. The previous synthwave was incredible.
And of course, continuing on from the original album, anybody who streams on Twitch, if you live stream on YouTube, you're free to use the music for background without any fear of DMCA or anything like that. And it is Blizzard licensed, by the way.
How about that?
A lot of people don't know that.
So
it's licensed Blizzard.
With that being said, we've finished up our breakfast, and I think it's time to say goodbye. Jay, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me here on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. It's just Jay the Bard. And thanks for having me on here, guys. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad that I was able to get on here before Adam could hit 70 in the beta.
True.
You could have come on in about 2 months, and you probably would have still beaten him.
I told you he's going to hit 70 when they bring out the Wrath pre-patch.
Yeah, that's when it's going to happen. Wrath pre-patch hits. He's like, guys, I'm ready for Karazhan. Let's go.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm here with, as usual, it's me and Kex. You can find us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. And of course, I'll be remiss not to show you guys, obviously, the brand new line from our good friends at Warcraft Radio. These are brand new t-shirts themed around the Burning Crusade. Absolutely great stuff, guys. Really good price as well. Worldwide shipping, all that good stuff. So, guys, if you do want to check it out, it's, I'll drop a link in the chat, or one of the mods can drop a link. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching today. Thank you. And we'll be back next week with some more breakfast in Shattrath.